She thought she was writing her final goodbye to the man who destroyed her. But Ava Morgan's letter went to the wrong apartment, landing in the hands of a mysterious stranger who would change everything. What she didn't know was that the gentle man buying cinnamon rolls at her bakery every morning was the same person reading her most private thoughts, a tech billionaire hiding his true identity. When their anonymous correspondence turned into real love, one devastating revelation would test whether their connection could survive the ultimate betrayal of trust. But Ethan Carr was harboring secrets that went far deeper than money, and when the media discovered their unlikely romance, both their worlds would be turned upside down. Some love stories begin with the right person. Others begin with the wrong address that leads to the perfect heart. If you're ready to discover how a simple mistake became the greatest love story ever told, hit that subscribe button and tell me what city you're watching from. The morning light slipped through Ava's kitchen window like honey. She sat at her small wooden table, staring at the letter in front of her. Her handwriting looked messy after working a double shift yesterday. The words on the page held 3 years of hurt. 3 years of trying to understand why Marcus had left her with his debts and no goodbye. She folded the letter carefully. Her hands shook just a little. This was it, the final thing she needed to say to him. Then she could move forward. Ava picked up her pen and wrote the address from memory. Apartment 2A, Seaside Gardens, the place where Marcus used to live before he disappeared. She sealed the envelope and pressed it flat. A yawn caught her by surprise. She had been up late helping Mrs. Chen with her medications. Caregiving didn't pay much, but it helped cover what the bakery job couldn't. Between both jobs, she was finally getting ahead of the debt Marcus had left behind. She looked at the envelope again. Something felt off, but her brain was foggy from tiredness. The address looked right, 2A. She shrugged and grabbed her keys. The apartment building was quiet at 6 in the morning. Ava dropped the letter in the mailbox and headed to work. She wouldn't think about Marcus anymore. She was done with that chapter of her life. At Nora's bakery, the smell of fresh bread filled the air. Ava tied her apron and got to work. The ovens were already warm, and trays of pastries waited to be arranged in the display case. "You're glowing this morning," Nora said with a grin. She was 55 and had owned the bakery for 20 years. Her grey hair was always pulled back in a neat bun, and flour usually dusted her dark skin. "Just happy to start fresh," Ava replied, placing cinnamon rolls in neat rows. "Romance season is coming," Nora laughed. "Valentine's Day brings out all kinds of feelings. Maybe some nice man will walk through that door today." Ava rolled her eyes. "I'm taking a break from nice men. They're more trouble than they're worth." But she smiled as she said it. The weight on her chest felt lighter today. The letter was done. She was free. 2 floors up from the mailboxes, Ethan sat in his rented apartment. The place was simple. A couch, a desk, and not much else. He had been hiding here for 3 months, taking a break from his company and the noise of his old life. The mail slot in his door made a soft sound. An envelope slipped through and landed on the hardwood floor. Ethan picked it up and studied the handwriting. Neat letters spelled out 2B, his apartment number, but the letter was addressed to someone named Marcus. He should return it to the front desk. That would be the right thing to do. But something about the careful writing made him pause. The person who wrote this had taken time with each word. Ethan sat on his couch and opened the envelope. He told himself he would just check for a return address. "Marcus, I need to say this once, and then I'm done. You left me with $12,000 in credit card debt. You promised we would pay it together. You said I could trust you. I'm not angry anymore. That feeling got too heavy to carry. But I want you to know that I survived what you did to me. I paid every cent back. It took 3 years, but I did it. I learned something important. I am stronger than I thought, and I deserve better than someone who runs away when things get hard. I hope you find whatever you were looking for when you left. I found something too. I found myself. This is goodbye. Ava." Ethan read the letter twice. His chest felt tight. This woman, Ava, had been hurt badly, but her words weren't bitter. They were brave. He should throw the letter away, forget about it. But he couldn't. Instead, he reached for his fountain pen and a piece of cream-colored paper. "To A.M. I received your letter by mistake. I read it before I realized my error, and I apologize for that. I should return your letter and forget about it. But your words stayed with me. You wrote about strength and survival. Those are rare gifts. I don't know if this is appropriate, but may I reply? If not, I will destroy your letter and respect your privacy. If yes, I would value the chance to write back. I understand if you prefer not to hear from a stranger. E. He folded the letter and walked to the lobby. The mailboxes showed that apartment 2A belonged to someone named Rivera, Marcus Rivera. The woman's letter had gone to the wrong apartment by mistake. Ethan slipped his reply under door 2A and went back upstairs. He had done something strange, maybe even wrong, but for the first time in months, he felt awake. Ava came home from work, tired but content. The bakery had been busy all day. Her feet hurt, but her tips were good. She climbed the stairs to her apartment and stopped. A cream-colored envelope lay on her doormat. Her name was written on the front in dark blue ink. The letters were careful and neat. Inside her apartment, she kicked off her shoes and opened the envelope. The handwriting was different from what she expected. This wasn't from Marcus. She read the letter 3 times. Someone had received her private words by mistake. Someone who wanted to respond with kindness instead of just throwing her letter away. The smart thing would be to ignore this. She didn't know this person. It could be dangerous. But something about the letter felt safe. The person had signed with just one initial. They had asked permission instead of assuming. They had called her strong. Ava found a piece of paper and wrote back, E. F. E. John. Thank you for writing to me instead of just throwing my letter away. That was kind. You can keep the letter if you want. Sometimes it helps to put hard things in writing. Maybe it helped you too. If you want to write again, that would be okay. But let's keep it simple. First names only. No personal information. Just conversation. A. The next morning, she left her reply in the outgoing mail tray. As she walked to work, she passed a tall man in a dark coat. He was leaving the building with his head down. She got a quick look at light brown hair under a baseball cap, but he was already gone. By the time she reached the bakery, she had forgotten about him. Sunday morning brought a new letter from E. This one was longer. A. Thank you for letting me keep your letter. You're right. Sometimes writing helps us figure out what we really think. You asked for conversation. Here's something small. I like the smell of coffee in the morning. It feels like possibility. What's one thing that makes you happy? E. Ava smiled. Coffee and possibility. She liked that. She wrote back that afternoon. 2. E-end efferent. Cinnamon makes me happy. When I roll out dough and add cinnamon, the whole kitchen smells like home, even if home is just a small apartment. Do you have a place that feels like home? A. The letters came every day after that, short notes that felt like secrets shared between friends. E. told her about rain on windows and how it made him feel peaceful. A. wrote about the way bread dough felt in her hands, soft and full of promise. They made rules without discussing them. No last names, no phone numbers, no social media. Just letters slipped under doors and left in mail trays. On Tuesday, Ava was walking home from work when the rain started. Heavy drops fell fast, and she ducked under the awning of a coffee shop. A man with an umbrella walked by and nodded politely. His coat was expensive, but his smile was simple. Nice eyes, she thought. Then the rain stopped, and they both went their separate ways. Wednesday morning at the bakery was busy. The rain had brought people inside, looking for warmth and comfort food. Ava worked steadily, filling orders and making change. A man approached the counter, tall, with light brown hair and those same nice eyes from yesterday. He wore jeans and a simple sweater, nothing fancy, but everything fit him well. "Good morning," he said. "Could I get a black coffee and a cinnamon roll?" His voice was quiet and polite. Ava warmed the cinnamon roll and poured his coffee. When she handed it to him, their fingers touched briefly. "Thank you," he said, and his smile reached his eyes. "You're welcome," she replied, feeling suddenly shy. He found a table by the window and pulled out a book. Ava tried not to watch him, but her eyes kept drifting over. He seemed peaceful sitting there, like someone who didn't need to fill every quiet moment with noise. When he left, he gave her another of those gentle smiles. "Have a good day," he said. "You too," she managed. After he was gone, Paula, her friend who worked at the flower shop next door, burst through the bakery door. "Girl, who was that?" Paula asked, grinning wide. "Just a customer," Ava said, but she could feel her cheeks getting warm. "Just a customer? Did you see the way he looked at you? And that smile?" Paula pressed her hands to her heart dramatically. "I'm getting romance vibes." "You get romance vibes from the mailman," Ava laughed. "The mailman is married. This guy is definitely single. I can tell. Ava shook her head, but she was still smiling. The man had been nice to look at, and polite, but she wasn't ready to think about dating. She had letters to look forward to instead. That evening, E had written about the comfort of small routines, how doing the same simple things each day could feel like a prayer. A wrote back about how bread needed routine too, the same temperature, the same timing, the same care each day. They were starting to understand each other without knowing faces or names. Thursday brought another letter, and the man with the nice eyes came back to the bakery. This time, Ava was ready for his quiet good morning and his order. Black coffee, cinnamon roll, table by the window. She found herself moving a little slower when she served him, taking time to make the coffee just right, making sure the cinnamon roll was perfectly warm. "How's your day going?" she asked as she handed him his order. "Better now," he said simply. Then he seemed surprised by his own words. A faint blush crossed his cheeks, and he looked down. "Mine too," Ava said softly. This time, when their fingers touched over the coffee cup, neither of them pulled away quickly. Nora watched from behind the pastry case, a knowing smile on her face. When the man left, she came over to Ava. "That one's got good manners," Nora said. "And he looks at you like you're sunshine." "He's just being nice," Ava protested. "Honey, I've been watching people fall in love in this bakery for 20 years. That man is interested. The question is, are you?" Ava didn't answer, but her heart beat a little faster. That night's letter from E was different, more honest. I've been thinking about trust, how hard it is to give and how easy it is to break. You trusted someone who didn't deserve it. That takes courage. I'm not sure I have. I'm hiding out from my life right now, taking time to figure out who I am when no one is watching. Does that make me a coward? E. Ava stared at the letter for a long time. E sounded lonely, not bitter like she had been, but lost. 2. E. Taking time to heal isn't cowardice. It's wisdom. Sometimes we need to step back so we can step forward better. You're not hiding from your life. You're protecting it. There's a difference. Trust your timing. You'll know when you're ready. Friday afternoon brought a sudden storm. The sky turned dark, and rain hammered against the bakery windows. The power flickered, and customers hurried inside to wait out the worst of it. The man with the nice eyes was caught outside without an umbrella. Ava watched him through the window, getting soaked. She grabbed a clean kitchen towel from the back room and went to the door. "Hey," she called out. "Come inside." He looked up, surprised. Rain dripped from his hair and down his face. "I don't want to drip all over your floor," he said. "It's just water. Come on." She held the door open, and he stepped inside. Ava handed him the towel, and he dried his hair and face. "Thank you," he said. "I should have checked the weather." "The storms come up fast here," Ava replied. "You're not from around here?" "Not originally. I'm taking some time in a smaller place. It's nice here. Peaceful." Ava nodded. "It grows on you. Coffee? On the house, since you're stuck." "That would be great." She poured him a cup and warmed a cinnamon roll. They stood at the counter together, listening to the rain. "I love cinnamon," he said after taking a bite. "It smells like comfort." Ava's breath caught. Something about those words felt familiar. But before she could think about it more, Nora appeared. "You two look cozy," she said with a grin. "I'm Nora. I own this place." "Ethan," the man said, offering his hand. "Thank you for the shelter." "Ethan," Ava repeated. She liked the name. It fit him. The rain started to ease, and Ethan finished his coffee. He looked at Ava with that gentle smile. "Thank you again. For the towel, the coffee, the kindness. You didn't have to help a stranger." "You're not really a stranger anymore," Ava said. Then she blushed at her own boldness. Ethan's smile got wider. "I guess not." He paused at the door, looking back. "I hope I'll see you again soon." "I'll be here," Ava said. After he left, Nora nudged her shoulder. "Ethan. Nice name, and he likes cinnamon just like your mystery letter writer." Ava's heart skipped. "What?" "Nothing," Nora said innocently. "Just interesting coincidences." That night, Ava sat with E's latest letter. He had written about feeling grateful for unexpected kindness from strangers, about how small gestures could change someone's whole day. She wrote back about the storm and helping someone who got caught in the rain, about how good it felt to offer comfort without expecting anything back. But something nagged at her as she wrote, a feeling she couldn't quite name. Saturday morning brought Paula to the bakery with mischief in her eyes. She was supposed to help with inventory, but she spent more time teasing than counting. "So tell me about yesterday," Paula said, grinning. "Nora said you rescued some handsome stranger from the rain." "I gave him a towel," Ava said, rolling her eyes. "It wasn't a rescue. A towel and coffee and cinnamon rolls. Girl, that's basically a marriage proposal in small-town terms." Ava laughed despite herself. "You're ridiculous. I'm observant, and I saw him looking at you through the window before the rain even started. That man comes here for more than coffee." Paula pulled out her phone and snapped a quick photo of Ava folding pastry boxes. "For the memory book," she said. "The day my girl met her future husband." "Don't you dare post that," Ava warned. I won't, but I'm keeping it for your wedding slideshow." That evening, Ava found a letter from E, waiting under her door. When she opened it, her hands trembled. "A, I need to tell you something. I think I've been unfair to you. We've been writing as strangers, but I don't feel like a stranger anymore. And I think I might know who you are. If I'm right, you've been kinder to me than I deserve. You've given me shelter and warmth and never asked for anything back. I owe you the truth about myself. Would you be willing to meet me? Somewhere public and safe. I understand if you'd rather not." E. Ava read the letter 3 times. Her heart was racing. E thought he knew who she was, which meant she thought about Ethan's gentle smile, his love of cinnamon, his quiet voice and careful manners, the way he seemed lonely but not bitter. Could it really be him? Part of her was scared. What if she was wrong? What if this was dangerous? But a bigger part of her was curious. The letters had meant something to her. If Ethan was E, then she already knew his heart was kind. She picked up her pen. "E. Yes, let's meet. Tomorrow at sunset, the lighthouse bench. I'll bring our letters. If you're who I think you are, this won't be as scary as it feels right now. A." She sealed the envelope and slipped it under his door that night. Tomorrow, she would find out if the man who wrote to her soul and the man who smiled at her across a bakery counter were the same person. Either way, her life was about to change. Sunday morning felt different. Ava woke up with butterflies in her stomach and couldn't eat breakfast. She kept checking the time, even though sunset was hours away. The bakery was quiet. Most people spent Sunday mornings at church or sleeping in. Ava was grateful for the calm. Her mind was spinning with questions. At noon, she found a new letter slipped under her door. A. To 200 544 that. I'm nervous too. Before we meet tonight, would you like to try something small? At noon today, the library steps. I'll leave a book with a flower inside. If you want to take it, that means yes to tonight. If not, I'll understand. E. Ava looked at the clock. Noon was in 10 minutes. She grabbed her keys and walked the 3 blocks to the town library. Her heart pounded with each step. This was really happening. The library was a small brick building with wide stone steps. Ava climbed slowly, looking around. On the top step, someone had left a paperback book, Pride and Prejudice. A pressed daisy marked a page near the middle. Ava picked up the book and opened it. Inside the front cover, someone had written in familiar blue ink, "For New Beginnings. Tonight at the lighthouse, if you're willing." She closed the book and held it against her chest. Her answer was yes. That afternoon felt like the longest of her life. Ava tried to clean her apartment, but she couldn't focus. She changed clothes 3 times. Finally, she settled on a simple blue dress and her comfortable walking shoes. At 6 o'clock, she walked to the lighthouse at the edge of town. The old white tower stood guard over the rocky shore. A wooden bench sat nearby, facing the water. Ava arrived first. She sat down and watched the waves, trying to calm her breathing. The book from E rested in her lap. 5 minutes later, she heard footsteps on the gravel path. She turned and saw a familiar figure walking toward her. Tall, light brown hair, careful steps. Ethan. He stopped a few feet away and removed his baseball cap. His hands were shaking slightly. "Hello, Ava," he said quietly. "Hello, E," she replied. They stared at each other for a moment. Ava felt like she was seeing him clearly for the first time, even though she had served him coffee dozens of times. "May I sit?" he asked. She nodded. He sat on the other end of the bench, leaving space between them. Ethan reached into his jacket and pulled out a bundle of letters tied with a blue ribbon. Her letters, all of them. "I brought these back to you," he he said. "Along with mine, if you want them. And my full name." He handed her a small piece of paper along with the letters. Ava unfolded it and read, "Ethan Carr, CEO, Carr Tech Solutions." Her breath caught. She had heard that name before. Carr Tech was a big company that made software for businesses. She remembered reading about the young CEO who had built it from nothing. "You're," she started, "rich, famous, in some circles." "Yes." Ethan's voice was flat. "I understand if that changes things." Ava looked at the letters in her lap, then at Ethan. He was studying his hands, waiting for her to run away. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "Because I was afraid." He looked up at her then. "Do you know how many people want to be my friend because of my money? How many women have pretended to care about me just to get close to my bank account?" Ava thought about that. "So, you've been testing me?" "No, not testing, hiding." His voice got quieter. "I came here to take a break from all of that, to figure out who I am when I'm not the CEO of anything. And then your letter ended up in my mailbox, and for the first time in years, someone was talking to me like I was just human." The lighthouse beam swept across the water. Ava watched it make its circle, thinking, "You served me coffee for weeks," she said finally. "You let me think you were just some nice guy passing through town." "I am just some nice guy," Ethan said. "The money doesn't change that, but the lying does." Ethan flinched. "You're right. I should have told you sooner. I was scared that if you knew, you'd start seeing dollar signs instead of seeing me." Ava stood up and walked to the edge of the cliff. The waves crashed against the rocks below. She needed to think. Behind her, Ethan waited in silence. After several minutes, she turned back to him. "I need time to process this." "Of course. No letters for 2 days. No coming to the bakery. I need space to figure out how I feel." Ethan nodded. "Whatever you need." Ava walked past him toward the path, then stopped. "Ethan?" "Yes?" "Thank you for being honest, even if it was late." Monday morning at the bakery was hard. Ava kept expecting to see Ethan's face at the counter, but he stayed away like she had asked. Nora noticed her distraction immediately. "You're burning the croissants," Nora said gently, "and you put salt in the cinnamon roll glaze." "Sorry." Ava dumped the ruined batch and started over. "Want to talk about it?" Ava looked around the empty bakery. It was early enough that they could speak privately. "The man who writes me letters," she said. "It's Ethan." Nora's eyebrows went up. "Coffee and cinnamon Ethan?" "Yes, except his last name is Carr, as in Carr Tech Solutions." Nora let out a low whistle. "Well, that's unexpected. He's been lying to me for weeks." "Has he?" Nora asked. "Or has he been protecting himself?" Ava stopped mixing batter. "What do you mean?" "Honey, I've been watching that man come in here every day. He orders the same thing, sits in the same spot, and looks at you like you hung the moon. Does money change any of that?" "It changes everything," Ava said. "People will think I'm after his money. They'll think I'm using him. Will you be?" "No, of course not." "Then what other people think doesn't matter." Ava sank onto a stool behind the counter. "It's not that simple, Nora." "Why not?" "Because," Ava struggled to find the words, "because I was just starting to trust again, and now I find out he's been hiding huge parts of his life from me." Nora came around the counter and put a hand on Ava's shoulder. "Did his letters lie about who he is inside?" Ava thought about all the late-night conversations on paper. He had been honest about his loneliness, his fears, his hope for something real. Those feelings had been true. "No," she admitted. "Then maybe the man is the same, even if the bank account is bigger than you expected." That afternoon, Ava's brother Malik stopped by the bakery. He was 4 years younger than her, but he acted like her protector. Today, his face was serious. "Heard you've been seeing someone," he said without preamble. Ava sighed. "News travels fast in this town." Paula mentioned a mysterious letter writer, and Nora said some rich guy has been hanging around. Malik crossed his arms. "Talk to me." They walked outside and sat on the bench in front of the bakery. The street was quiet in the afternoon lull. "His name is Ethan," Ava said. "We've been writing letters back and forth. He's nice." "Nice and rich are different things," Malik said. "What does he want with you?" "Excuse me?" "Ava, come on. You work in a bakery. You take care of old people at night. What does some tech millionaire see in that?" Ava felt like she'd been slapped. "Maybe he sees someone worth knowing." Malik's face softened. "I didn't mean it like that. You're amazing. But rich men don't usually date regular women unless they want something. You don't even know him. I know men like him. They play games. Ava stood up. He's not playing games. How do you know? Because I've been talking to his heart for weeks. In his letters, he's just a lonely person looking for connection, the same as everyone else. Malik studied her face. You really like him. I think I do. But I'm scared too. Good. Scared keeps you smart. Malik stood and hugged her. Just go slow, okay? And if he hurts you, I'll break his expensive face. Ava laughed despite herself. Deal. Tuesday evening, the 2 days of space were over. Ava walked to the lighthouse bench as the sun was setting. Ethan was already there, wearing the same simple clothes as always. Hi, he said when she approached. Hi. She sat down, closer this time. Not next to him, but not on the far end of the bench either. I've been thinking, she said. Me too. I'm still hurt that you didn't tell me earlier, but I understand why you waited. Ethan looked relieved. I wanted to tell you so many times, especially after the storm, when you were so kind to me. I almost signed my full name on that letter. Why didn't you? Because I liked how you looked at me in the bakery, like I was just Ethan, not Ethan the CEO or Ethan the rich guy, just me. Ava nodded. I can understand that. I have a question for you, Ethan said. If I was just some regular guy working a regular job, would you want to date me? Ava thought about it honestly. Yes. Then can we try that? Can we date like regular people? I won't talk about business or money. We'll keep things simple. What about when people find out who you are? We'll deal with that if it happens. For now, let's just be Ava and Ethan. Ava looked out at the water. The lighthouse beam made its steady circle. Constant, reliable. Okay, she said. But we go slow, and we're honest from now on. No more secrets. No more secrets, Ethan agreed. They sat together as the stars came out. For the first time, Ava let herself imagine what it might be like to really know this man, not just through letters, but in real life. It felt scary and exciting at the same time. Thursday night, Ethan asked her to coffee, not at the bakery where everyone could watch, but at the small cafe by the marina. Ava wore her favorite green sweater and arrived exactly on time. Ethan was waiting at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee and a nervous smile. I wasn't sure how you liked it, he said, so I got cream and sugar on the side. Black is fine, Ava said, sitting across from him. They talked for an hour about everything except money and business, books, music, the way the ocean sounded different in winter than summer. Ethan was easy to talk to. He listened more than he spoke, and when he laughed, it was genuine. Can I ask you something? Ava said as they were getting ready to leave. Anything. Why are you taking a break from your company? You built it. It must mean a lot to you. Ethan stirred his coffee even though it was almost empty. It did mean a lot to me, but somewhere along the way, I lost track of why I started it. Everything became about growth and profit and impressing investors. I forgot to ask if I was happy. Are you happy now? Happier than I've been in years, he said, looking directly at her. Ava felt her cheeks warm. Good. They walked back toward town together. At the corner where their paths split, Ethan stopped. Would you like to have dinner Friday night? He asked. Nothing fancy. Just us. I'd like that. He smiled, that gentle smile she was coming to love. Good night, Ava. Good night, Ethan. Friday afternoon brought an unexpected visitor to the bakery. A woman in her 60s with silver hair and expensive clothes walked through the door. She looked around the small space like she was trying to solve a puzzle. Excuse me, the woman said to Ava. I'm looking for someone who might know my son, Ethan Carr. Ava's stomach dropped. I'm sorry? He's been staying in town for a few months. Tall, brown hair, very polite. He mentioned a bakery. This had to be Ethan's mother. Ava tried to keep her voice steady. Yes, I know Ethan. He's a regular customer. The woman smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm Lydia Carr, his mother. He's mentioned making a friend here. I'm Ava. She didn't know what else to say. Ava. Lydia repeated the name like she was tasting it. Would you have time for tea this afternoon? I'm staying at the Seaside Inn. It wasn't really a request. Ava looked at the clock. Her shift ended in an hour. I suppose I could stop by after work, Ava said. Wonderful. Shall we say 4 o'clock? After Lydia left, Nora emerged from the back room. That was his mother. I think so. She looked like she was interviewing you for a job. Ava's hands shook as she wiped down the counter. What do I say to her? The truth, Nora said. You're a good person who cares about her son. If she can't see that, it's her loss. At 4 o'clock, Ava knocked on the door of the inn's private dining room. Lydia answered, now wearing a softer sweater but the same careful expression. Please, sit, Lydia said, gesturing to a small table set with china cups and a plate of cookies. They made small talk for a few minutes. The weather, the town, how long Ethan had been visiting. Then Lydia got to the point. My son seems quite taken with you, she said. We're friends, Ava replied carefully. Are you? Lydia's voice was pleasant but sharp. Because Ethan has never mentioned a woman's name to me as many times as he's mentioned yours. Ava set down her teacup. Mrs. Carr, if you have something to ask me, please just ask. Lydia smiled, and this time it seemed genuine. I like directness. Very well. Are you dating my son because of who he is, or because of what he has? I'm not dating him because of either, Ava said. I'm dating him because he's kind and funny, and he listens when I talk. If he worked at the grocery store, I'd still want to spend time with him. Many women have said similar things. I'm not many women. They stared at each other across the small table. Ava felt like she was being measured. Finally, Lydia nodded. No, I don't think you are. The tension in the room eased slightly. I worry about Ethan, Lydia continued. He's successful, but he's also lonely. He's been hurt before by people who wanted his money more than they wanted him. I don't want his money, Ava said quietly. I've worked for everything I have. I'm proud of that. I can see that. Lydia poured more tea for both of them. Tell me about your family. They talked for another hour. Ava found herself relaxing as she told Lydia about Malik, about working 2 jobs to pay off debt, about her dreams of maybe opening her own small bakery someday. When it was time to leave, Lydia walked her to the door. Thank you for the tea, Ava said. Thank you for being honest. Lydia paused. Ethan seems happier than he's been in a long time. I hope that continues. Me too. Dinner with Ethan that night was at his rental apartment. Nothing fancy, just pasta and salad and soft music. But Ava felt nervous in a way she hadn't before. Meeting his mother had made everything feel more real. How was your day? Ethan asked as he served the food. Interesting. I met your mother. Ethan's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. What? She came to the bakery. We had tea. Oh God. Ava, I'm so sorry. She didn't tell me she was coming to town. It's okay. She was thorough. Ethan groaned. What did she say? She wanted to make sure I wasn't after your money. Ava took a bite of pasta. It was perfectly cooked. I think I passed the test. There shouldn't have been a test. Ethan, she's your mother. She's protecting you. I understand that. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Ethan reached across the table and took her hand. I want to ask you something, he said. But it's okay to say no. Ask. Would you like to be exclusive? Just you and me. Ava felt her heart speed up. This was really happening. She was falling for him. Yes, she said simply. Ethan's smile was brighter than the lighthouse beam. Really, really. He brought her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles gently. I'm the luckiest man in this town. We'll see about that, Ava said, but she was smiling too. After dinner, they sat on his small couch and talked until late. About books, about dreams, about the way the ocean looked different every day even though it was always the same water. When Ethan walked her home, he stopped at her door. Ava? Yes? Thank you for giving me a chance, even after the secret. Thank you for telling me the truth, even though it was scary. He leaned down and kissed her forehead gently. Good night. Good night. Ava watched him walk away before going inside. Her apartment felt different now, lighter, like something good was beginning. She was right to be hopeful, but she was also right to be careful. 2 weeks passed in a sweet, quiet rhythm. Ethan came to the bakery every morning for coffee and a cinnamon roll. They had dinner twice a week, nothing fancy. They walked the boardwalk holding hands and talked about everything and nothing. Ava felt like she was learning to trust again. Ethan was patient with her questions and honest about his life. When she asked about his company, he explained it simply. When she worried about people judging her, he reminded her that their opinion didn't matter. You make me feel normal, he told her one evening as they sat on the lighthouse bench. Like I'm just a guy who's lucky enough to know an amazing woman. You are just a guy, Ava said. A guy with a very large bank account, but still just a guy. Ethan laughed. I love how you say that. Like money is just another detail. Like height or eye color, isn't it? Not to most people. Ava turned to face him. I'm not most people. No, Ethan said, reaching for her hand. You're definitely not. Life felt good, stable, like she could finally breathe without worrying what would go wrong next. She should have known it wouldn't last. Saturday morning brought the usual weekend rush at the bakery. Paula stopped by to help with the crowds, and Ava was grateful for the extra hands. You're glowing, Paula said as they worked side by side, filling orders. This thing with Ethan is going well? Really well, Ava admitted. He's different than I expected. Different how? Kinder, more down to earth. Last night we spent 2 hours talking about books we read as kids. Paula grinned. Girl, you are falling hard. Maybe I am. They worked in comfortable rhythm for the next hour. When the morning rush ended, Paula pulled out her phone. Let me get a picture, she said. You look so happy. Ava was holding an envelope, another letter from Ethan, even though they saw each other in person now. He still wrote to her sometimes, sweet notes that made her smile. Paula, no, Ava said, but she was laughing. Just one. For memories. The camera clicked before Ava could protest more. Paula looked at the photo, and her smile faded. What? Ava asked. Nothing. It's just, you can see part of the letter in the picture. Ava felt a chill. What part? Just the signature. But you can't really read it. Paula's voice was too casual. I won't post it anywhere, I promised. Good. But something in Paula's tone worried Ava. Sunday afternoon, Ava was reading in her apartment when her phone buzzed with text messages. First Malik, then Nora, then 3 numbers she didn't recognize. Malik, call me. Now. Nora, honey, we need to talk. Unknown number. Is it true you're dating Ethan Carr? Ava's stomach dropped. She called Malik immediately. What's going on? She asked when he answered. Paula posted that picture, Malik said without preamble. The one of you with the letter. She promised she wouldn't. Well, she did, and someone figured out who wrote it. Ava sank onto her couch. How? The letter was signed E, and you're standing in front of a bakery. Doesn't take a genius to put it together, especially when half the town has seen you walking around with that rich guy. Oh no, it gets worse. Someone shared it to a business blog. There's an article. Ava's hands started shaking. What kind of article? Tech CEO found love in small town kind of article, with pictures of you from Paula's social media. Malik. I'm coming over. 20 minutes later, Malik sat in Ava's living room with his laptop. The blog post was small, just a few paragraphs. But it had her name, her job, and several photos Paula had posted over the years. Ethan Carr, founder and CEO of Carr Tech Solutions, appears to have found romance during his rumored sabbatical in the coastal town of Millfield. Sources confirm Carr has been seen regularly with local bakery employee Ava Morgan. The unlikely pairing has locals buzzing about how the 3-3-year-old tech millionaire met his 2 8-year-old girlfriend. Ava stopped reading. This is a nightmare. It's not that bad, Malik said, but he didn't sound convinced. Malik, they're calling me his unlikely girlfriend. They make it sound like some kind of joke. Her phone rang. Ethan. Hey, she answered. Ava, I just saw it. I'm so sorry. You saw it? My assistant sent it to me. She thought I should know. His voice was tight with worry. Are you okay? I don't know yet. Ava looked at her brother, who was frowning at his laptop screen. Can you come over? I'm already in my car. When Ethan arrived, he looked more stressed than Ava had ever seen him. His hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. Malik stood up when Ethan walked in. The 2 men looked at each other for a tense moment. You must be Malik, Ethan said, offering his hand. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. Malik shook his hand but didn't smile. So do I. Malik, please, Ava said. Sit down. All of us. They arranged themselves awkwardly in her small living room. Ethan sat next to Ava on the couch. Malik took the chair across from them, arms crossed. How bad is this going to get? Ava asked. I don't know, Ethan said honestly. My company's PR team is already getting calls. They want to know if I should make a statement. What kind of statement? Confirming or denying the relationship, asking for privacy, the usual things. Malik leaned forward. Or you could just deny it. Say you're just friends. Malik, Ava protested. What? I'm looking out for you. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Ethan's jaw tightened. I'm not going to deny Ava. I care about her too much for that. Caring about her means protecting her from this circus. Stop, Ava said firmly. Both of you. The room fell silent. Ava felt tears starting behind her eyes, but she blinked them back. This is my choice, she said. Malik, I know you're trying to help, but I need to decide for myself. Decide what? Malik asked. Whether this is worth it. She looked at Ethan. Whether he's worth it. Ethan's face went pale. Ava, I need some time to think, she said. Alone. Ethan nodded slowly. Of course. Take all the time you need. How much time? Malik asked. The weekend, Ava said. No calls, no texts, no visits. I just need to breathe and figure out what I want. After both men left, Ava sat in her quiet apartment and cried. Not angry tears, but scared ones. She had been so careful with her heart for 3 years. Now it felt like everything was spinning out of control again. Monday morning at the bakery was awful. 3 customers asked if the rumors were true. A reporter called asking for comment. Nora finally put a sign on the door. No questions about staff personal lives. This will blow over, Nora said during a quiet moment. Small-town gossip always does. Will it? Ava asked. Or is this just the beginning? Honey, do you love him? The question caught Ava off guard. What? Ethan, do you love him? Ava thought about it seriously. Did she? She cared about him. She missed him when they were apart. She felt safe with him. When he smiled, her whole day got brighter. I think I might, she said quietly. Then the rest is just noise, Nora said. Love that matters is worth fighting for. That afternoon, Paula showed up at the bakery with red eyes and a guilty face. I'm sorry, she said before Ava could speak. I'm so sorry. You promised you wouldn't post it. I know. I was excited for you, and I wanted to share how happy you looked. I didn't think about who might see it. Ava studied her friend's face. Paula looked genuinely upset. The damage is done now, Ava said. I deleted everything, all the posts, all the pictures, and I called that blog and told them to take down the article. Did they? They said no. But I tried. Paula's voice cracked. I ruined everything, didn't I? Ava sighed. You made it harder, but you didn't ruin everything. Can I do anything to fix it? Yeah. Stop posting about my personal life without asking. Done. I promise for real this time. Tuesday evening, Malik knocked on Ava's door again. This time he brought Chinese takeout and a calmer expression. I've been thinking, he said, as they shared lo mein on her couch. About what? About what you said, that this is your choice. Ava nodded. I was being overprotective, Malik continued. You're not the same person who let Marcus walk all over you. You're stronger now. I am stronger. So, if you want to date this guy, despite all the complications, I'll support you. Ava felt relief flood through her. Really? Really. But I have one condition. What? If he hurts you, I get to punch him once, rich guy or not. Ava laughed for the first time in days. Deal. So what are you going to do? I'm going to call him tomorrow. We need to set some rules if this is going to work. What kind of rules? Boundaries. About privacy. About publicity. About keeping our relationship ours instead of the whole world's. Malik nodded approvingly. Smart. Wednesday evening, Ava called Ethan. He answered on the first ring. Hi, she said. Hi. His voice was careful, hopeful. How are you? Better. Can we talk? In person? Of course. Where? Your place. I'll bring dinner. An hour later, Ava stood on Ethan's porch with a bag of sandwiches from the deli. When he opened the door, she could see the relief on his face. I missed you, he said simply. I missed you too. They sat at his small kitchen table and talked honestly. Ava told him about her fears, that people would think she was using him, that his world would swallow her up, that she'd lose herself trying to fit into his life. Ethan listened to everything before speaking. I have fears too, he said, that you'll decide I'm not worth the complications, that you'll get tired of people judging us, that you'll leave before I'm ready to let you go. Are you ready to let me go now? Never. They looked at each other across the table. The Chinese food was getting cold, but neither of them cared. So what do we do? Ava asked. We set boundaries, Ethan said. We control what we can control and ignore the rest. What kind of boundaries? No interviews, no posed photos, no public displays that look like we're performing for cameras. Ethan reached for her hand. We keep dating like regular people. Dinner at home, walks on the beach, quiet conversations. What if more articles come out? We don't respond. We just keep living our lives. Ava squeezed his fingers. What about your mother? What about her? She's probably freaking out about the publicity. Ethan grimaced. She called me 6 times yesterday, but she'll have to accept that this is my choice. I want to talk to her, Ava said. Properly this time. Not an interrogation, just a conversation. Are you sure? If we're doing this, she needs to know I'm serious about you. And you're serious about me. Ethan brought her hand to his lips and kissed her palm. I'm very serious about you. Good, Ava said, because I'm serious about you too. They talked until midnight, making plans. Quiet plans that belonged to just them. Thursday afternoon, Ava met Lydia at the same inn where they'd had tea before. But this time felt different. Less like a test and more like a conversation between two people who cared about the same man. Thank you for reaching out, Lydia said as they settled at the small table. Thank you for agreeing to meet again. I'll be honest, Lydia said. The publicity worries me. It worries me too. Does it worry you enough to walk away? Ava had thought about this question for days. No, it worries me enough to be careful, but not enough to give up. Lydia nodded slowly. Ethan said you wanted to set boundaries. We both do. No interviews, no public statements, no performing for cameras. Just a normal relationship that happens to involve someone with money. That's not how the world will see it. The world doesn't get a vote, Ava said firmly. This is between Ethan and me. For the first time, Lydia smiled genuinely. You sound like him when he's made up his mind about something. Is that good or bad? Good, I think. He needs someone who won't back down when things get difficult. They talked for another hour about practical things, how to handle curious reporters, how to keep their relationship private, how to protect both their families from unwanted attention. When they said goodbye, Lydia surprised Ava with a hug. I misjudged you the first time we met, Lydia said. I was looking for someone trying to take advantage of my son. Instead, I found someone trying to protect him. I care about him, Ava said simply. I can see that. And he cares about you. Yes, he does. Then we'll figure out the rest as we go. Friday night, Ethan cooked dinner again. This time, they didn't talk about reporters or articles or publicity. They talked about books and music and whether the lighthouse keeper's ghost really walked the shore at midnight. After dinner, they sat on his small couch with cups of tea. Ethan pulled a key from his pocket and held it out to her. What's this? Ava asked. A key to this place. Not because I want you to move in, he said quickly. Just because I want you to feel safe here, like you belong. Ava took the key. It was warm from his pocket and tied with a small blue ribbon. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She closed her fingers around the key. It felt heavier than it should, weighted with meaning. Thank you, she said. Thank you for staying. For choosing this, even when it got complicated. It's worth it, Ava said. You're worth it. Ethan leaned over and kissed her softly. Not urgent or desperate, but sure, like he was coming home. When they broke apart, Ava rested her forehead against his. What happens now? She asked. Now we write our own story, Ethan said. No reporters, no outside opinions. Just us. Just us, Ava agreed. Outside, the lighthouse made its steady circle. Constant light cutting through the darkness. A beacon that said, this way home. The next few weeks settled into a new rhythm. The article faded from social media. The reporter stopped calling. People in town got used to seeing Ava and Ethan together and stopped staring. Malik and Ethan developed a cautious friendship over basketball games on TV. Lydia visited again and brought Ava her grandmother's cinnamon roll recipe. Paula apologized 3 more times and promised to ask before posting anything about anyone ever again. Life wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. One evening in late March, Ava was closing the bakery when she found an envelope slipped under the door. Her name was written in familiar blue ink. Inside, Ethan had written, Ava, 6 months ago, a letter went to the wrong address and changed my life. Tonight, I'm writing to the right address on purpose. I love you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Not because you make my life easier, but because you make it better. I love your stubborn streak and your kind heart. I love how you stand up for yourself and how you take care of other people. I love that you see me as just Ethan, even when the rest of the world sees dollar signs. I'm writing this in a letter because letters are how we started, but I'm hoping you'll let me tell you in person too. All my love, Ethan. Ava read the letter 3 times before folding it carefully and putting it in her purse. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear this time. From happiness so big she didn't know how to hold it all. She drove to Ethan's apartment and let herself in with the key he had given her. He was sitting at his small kitchen table, hands folded, waiting. "Hi," she said. "Hi," he said back. "Did you get my letter?" "I got it." "And?" Ava walked over to him and cupped his face in her hands. "I love you too," she said. His smile was brighter than any lighthouse. 6 months later, spring turned into summer, and Ava learned what it meant to love someone completely. Not the desperate, anxious love she had felt for Marcus, but something steady and sure. Love that grew stronger in quiet moments, not just dramatic ones. Ethan had been back to the city twice for business meetings, but he always came home to Millfield, home to her. "I don't understand why you won't just move the company here," Ava said one morning as she watched him pack for another trip. "Because there are 300 people who depend on their jobs," Ethan replied, folding shirts into his suitcase. "I can't ask them all to move to a town with 2,000 people. So what's the long-term plan?" Ethan paused, a tie in his hands. "I've been thinking about that. And? I want to sell my shares to my business partner, keep enough involvement to help with big decisions, but step back from day-to-day operations." Ava sat on the edge of his bed. "Are you sure? You built that company from nothing. I built it because I needed to prove something to myself. Now I know what I really want." "What do you want?" "A life that fits in a small town, work that matters but doesn't consume me, time to read books and take walks and have dinner with the woman I love." Ava's heart did that fluttery thing it always did when he talked about the future, like she was definitely in it. "What would you do for work here?" "I have some ideas. Maybe start a small software consulting business, help local companies with their technology needs. Nothing huge, just enough to stay busy and useful." "You'd really be happy with that?" Ethan sat beside her on the bed and took her hand. "Ava, 6 months ago I was miserable despite having everything I thought I wanted. Now I'm happy despite having way less money and zero fame. What do you think changed? Your perspective?" "You," he said simply. "You changed everything." While Ethan was in the city, Ava spent her days working at the bakery and thinking about the future. For the first time in years, the future felt like something to look forward to instead of something to survive. Thursday afternoon, Nora approached her during a quiet moment between customers. "I have something to discuss with you," Nora said, her tone serious. Ava's stomach tightened. "Am I in trouble?" "The opposite," Nora smiled. "I'm thinking about retiring next year." "What?" "My husband wants to travel, see his family in Jamaica, visit our grandkids more often. We've been putting it off for years." Ava felt panic rising. "But what about the bakery? I was hoping you might want to buy it." The words hit Ava like a physical force. "Buy it? You know this place better than anyone. The customers love you, and you have great instincts for the business side." "Nora, I don't have that kind of money." "I know. That's why I'm willing to do owner financing. You pay me monthly over several years instead of all at once." Ava stared at her. "You'd really do that?" "Honey, this place needs someone who loves it. You love it." That evening, Ava called Ethan at his hotel in the city. She told him about Nora's offer, about the possibility of owning her own business. "That's incredible," Ethan said. "How do you feel about it?" "Scared, excited, overwhelmed." Ava paced around her small apartment. "I've never owned anything bigger than a car. Do you want it?" "Yes, but I'd need a business plan, loan applications, all kinds of things I don't know how to do." "I know how to do those things," Ethan said quietly. "I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Let me help you build something that's yours." Ava stopped pacing. "Why would you do that?" "Because I love you, and because watching you become a business owner would make me happier than any $1 million deal I've ever made." Ethan came back from the city with a suitcase full of business books and a head full of plans. He spread paperwork across his kitchen table and walked Ava through profit and loss statements, cash flow projections, and equipment assessments. "This is a really good deal," he said after reviewing Nora's offer. "She's being more than fair. So you think I should do it?" "I think you should do what feels right to you. But yes, from a business perspective, this is solid." They worked together for hours, building a 5-year plan for the bakery. Ethan's expertise was invaluable, but he never made Ava feel stupid for asking questions. He explained everything patiently, clearly. "You're a good teacher," Ava said as they took a break. You're a good student, and you have great instincts for this. How do you know? Because you've been essentially managing the place for months. Nora trusts your judgment with ordering, scheduling, customer service. You're already doing the job. That weekend, Malik came by to review the business plan. He had studied accounting in college before switching to construction work. "This looks really good," he said, scanning the numbers. "Conservative projections, realistic timeline. And this financing arrangement is generous. So you think I should do it?" "I think you should do whatever makes you happy. But yeah, I'd do it." Ava looked between her brother and her boyfriend, two of the most important people in her life, both supporting her dream. "Okay," she said, "I'm going to do it." The paperwork took 3 weeks to finalize. During that time, Ava worked alongside Nora, learning the parts of the business she hadn't handled before: vendor relationships, tax requirements, health department regulations. "It's a lot," Nora admitted one afternoon, "but you'll grow into it. What if I mess it up?" "You won't. And if you make mistakes, you'll fix them. That's how business works." The day Ava signed the final papers, Ethan brought champagne to the bakery after closing. Just the three of them, Ava, Ethan, and Nora, toasting in the quiet shop. "To new beginnings," Nora said, raising her glass. "To following your dreams," Ethan added. "To having people who believe in you," Ava said, her voice thick with emotion. They clinked glasses as the last sunlight streamed through the bakery windows. Ava looked around at the space that was now hers. The ovens that would wake her before dawn, the customers who would become part of her daily life, the responsibility and freedom that came with ownership. It was terrifying and perfect. 2 months into owning the bakery, Ava felt like she was finding her rhythm. The early mornings were still hard, but she loved the quiet time before the town woke up, kneading dough in the pre-dawn darkness, watching the ovens bring her creations to life. Ethan had officially stepped back from his company and started his consulting business. He worked from a small office above the hardware store, helping local businesses modernize their systems. He seemed lighter than ever, whistling as he walked to work each morning. One evening in September, they decided to take a weekend trip. Nothing fancy, just a drive to a book fair in a town 2 hours north. Malik and Lydia were both invited, an idea that had seemed impossible 6 months ago. The 4 of them piled into Ethan's car on Saturday morning. Malik sat up front with Ethan, discussing basketball. Lydia and Ava shared the back seat, talking about recipes and the bakery. "I'm proud of you," Lydia said quietly as they watched the countryside roll by. "Starting your own business takes courage." "Thank you. That means a lot. Ethan talks about you constantly, you know. How hard you work, how kind you are to your customers, how you're transforming that little bakery." Ava blushed. "He's biased, maybe, but I can see it myself. You're good for him. You make him want to be better. He makes me want to be better too." Lydia squeezed her hand. "That's how you know it's real love." The book fair was perfect. Rows of tents filled with used books, local authors reading from their work, the smell of funnel cake and coffee in the air. They split up to explore their different interests, agreeing to meet for lunch. Ava found herself in the poetry section, running her fingers along worn spines. She pulled out a collection by Maya Angelou and flipped through it. "Finding anything good?" Ethan appeared beside her, arms full of history books. "Just browsing, looking for something that speaks to me." "Like this?" He handed her a slim volume titled Love Letters Through Time. Ava smiled. "Perfect." They bought their books and found Malik and Lydia at the food trucks. Malik had found 3 cookbooks for Ava, and Lydia had discovered a rare gardening manual. "This was a good idea," Malik said as they shared a picnic table. "We should do this more often." "Road trips?" Ethan asked. "Family stuff. All of us together." Ava felt something warm bloom in her chest. Family. That's what this was becoming. October brought cooler weather and the first real test of Ava's business ownership. A kitchen equipment failure that required an expensive repair, a mix-up with a vendor that left her short on flour during the busiest week of the month. "This is harder than I thought," she confessed to Ethan one evening as they walked the boardwalk. "What part?" "All of it. The responsibility, the decision-making, the money stress." "Do you regret it?" Ava thought about that seriously. "No, it's hard, but it's mine. When I solve a problem, I know I did it myself." That's how I felt when I started my company. Terrified but proud. "How did you handle the stress?" "Badly, at first. I worked too much, slept too little, Forgot to eat. Ethan stopped walking and turned to face her. But I didn't have what you have. What do I have? Balance. People who care about you. A life outside of work. Ava realized he was right. Even on her hardest days, she had dinner with Ethan, coffee with Malik, long conversations with Lydia. The business mattered, but it wasn't everything. Thank you, she said. For what? For reminding me that I'm not just a business owner. I'm also a person. November brought an unexpected visitor. Marcus. Ava was closing the bakery on a Tuesday evening when she saw him through the window. 3.5 years older, wearing an expensive suit, standing on the sidewalk like he was gathering courage. Her first instinct was to lock the door and call Ethan. Her second instinct was to face this head-on. She opened the door. Hello, Marcus. Hi, Ava. He looked nervous, which was new. The Marcus, she remembered, had never been nervous about anything. What do you want? To apologize, to explain, to make things right. Ava crossed her arms. It's a little late for that. I know, but I heard you were doing well. The bakery, the relationship. I'm glad. Are you? Marcus shifted on his feet. I was a coward. I panicked when the debt got bad, and I ran instead of staying to face it with you. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it. Ava studied his face. He looked sincere, but she had learned not to trust appearances. Why now? She asked. Because I'm getting married, and I couldn't start a new life without cleaning up the old one. Congratulations. Thank you. Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. Ava took it but didn't open it. What is it? Money. To pay you back for the debt. I know you already handled it, but you shouldn't have had to. Ava looked down at the envelope, then back at Marcus. Part of her wanted to throw it back at him. Part of her wanted to keep it out of spite. I don't need your money, she said finally. I know, but I need to give it to you. Ava understood. This wasn't about her anymore. It was about him trying to live with himself. Fine, I'll donate it to the food bank. Marcus smiled, and for a moment he looked like the man she had once loved. That's perfect, he said. Very you. Goodbye, Marcus. Goodbye, Ava. Be happy. After he left, Ava stood in the bakery holding the envelope. She wasn't angry anymore. She wasn't hurt anymore. She was just done with that chapter. When Ethan arrived for their dinner date, she told him about Marcus's visit. How do you feel? Ethan asked. Free, Ava said. Completely free. December brought snow and holiday orders and the best month the bakery had ever had. Ava hired 2 part-time employees to help with the rush. Watching other people learn to love the work she loved felt like passing on a gift. 3 days before Christmas, Ethan suggested a walk to the lighthouse. They bundled up in coats and scarves and made their way through the light snow. The bench was empty, as it usually was in winter. They sat close together, sharing warmth. I have something for you, Ethan said, pulling out an envelope. Another letter, the last one, and the first one. Ava opened the envelope and found 2 pieces of paper. The first was her original letter to Marcus, the one that had started everything. The second was a new letter in Ethan's careful handwriting. Ava Morgan, 1 year ago, your letter came to my door by mistake. Tonight, I'm writing to your real address on purpose. Your real address is my heart. I love your strength and your kindness. I love how you rebuilt your life with your own hands. I love how you see the best in people, even when they don't deserve it. I love how you make cinnamon rolls that taste like home, and how you listen to my dreams without laughing. I love how you stand up to your fears and how you take care of the people you love. I want to keep writing letters to you for the rest of my life. Not because we live apart, but because some feelings are too big for just spoken words. Will you marry me? All my love, always. Ethan Carr, P.S. Check your pocket. Ava's hands shook as she folded the letter. She reached into her coat pocket and found a small velvet box. Inside was a simple ring, a single diamond on a delicate band, classic and understated. Ethan, she whispered. I know it's not the most romantic proposal, he said, his voice nervous. No fancy restaurant or string quartet, just us and the lighthouse. It's perfect, Ava said, tears starting to fall. It's absolutely perfect. Is that a yes? That's a yes. Ethan took the ring from the box and slipped it onto her finger with shaking hands. It fit perfectly. How did you know my size? Ava asked. I asked Lydia to take you ring shopping for your birthday. She's sneakier than she looks. Ava laughed through her tears. She was in on this? So was Malik. He gave me permission to ask you. Permission? Old-fashioned, I know, but I wanted his blessing. Ava threw her arms around Ethan's neck and kissed him with all the love in her heart. The lighthouse beam swept over them, and snow fell softly around them, and everything was exactly as it should be. 1 year later, the wedding was small and perfect. 40 people in the town church, followed by dinner at the lighthouse pavilion. Ava wore her grandmother's dress, altered to fit. Ethan wore a simple dark suit and the biggest smile anyone had ever seen. Malik walked Ava down the aisle. Lydia cried through the entire ceremony. Paula took pictures and didn't post a single one without permission. Nora made the wedding cake, 3 layers of cinnamon spice with cream cheese frosting. A baker's cake, she called it. During the reception, Ethan stood to make a toast. 1.5 years ago, he said, Ava wrote a letter to the wrong address. It was the luckiest mistake in the history of mail delivery. Everyone laughed. I fell in love with her words before I fell in love with her face. I fell in love with her heart before I knew her name, and I'm going to keep falling in love with her for the rest of my life. He raised his glass to Ava. To my wife, thank you for teaching me that the right address isn't always the one you planned to reach. 5 years later, Sunday morning in the bakery. Ava ties her apron and surveys her domain. 5 years of ownership have left their mark. New equipment, expanded seating, a small cafe area where people linger over coffee and conversation. Ethan carries a bag of flour through the door, whistling. His hair is a little grayer now, his smile lines a little deeper. He looks completely happy. Morning delivery, he says, setting down the flour. Thank you. Ava stands on her tiptoes to kiss him. Coffee? Always. Malik arrives with his wife, Jenny, and their toddler son. The little boy toddles straight to Ava for hugs and a cookie. Uncle Ethan, he squeals, running to wrap his arms around Ethan's legs. Lydia appears with a tin of lemon bars and her weekly report on her garden. She's become a fixture in their lives. Sunday dinners and holiday celebrations, and quiet Tuesday visits. The whole family's here, Nora says, appearing from the back room. She comes by most Sundays, officially retired but unable to stay away completely. They gather around the large table in the cafe area, sharing food and stories and easy laughter. Outside, tourists walk the boardwalk and locals head to church, and life moves at its gentle, small-town pace. I have news, Ava announces when the conversation lulls. Everyone looks at her expectantly. We're going to need to add a high chair to these Sunday gatherings. It takes a moment for the words to sink in. Then Lydia gasps, Malik whoops, and Ethan's face goes through surprise, joy, and tender amazement in the space of 3 seconds. Really? Ethan asks, his voice soft with wonder. Really? Ava confirms. He pulls her into his arms and spins her around the empty bakery. When he sets her down, his eyes are bright with tears. Another letter to the right address, he whispers. Evening. They walk the boardwalk as the sun sets, hands intertwined. The same path they've walked hundreds of times, but it never gets old. Scared? Ethan asks. Terrified, Ava admits. You? Same, but good scared, like when you decided to buy the bakery, or when I said yes to marrying you. That wasn't scary. That was the easiest decision I ever made. They reach the lighthouse bench and sit down. The beam sweeps across the water, steady and sure, a promise that some things endure. Do you ever think about that first letter? Ava asks. All the time. Best wrong address in postal history. Do you think we would have found each other anyway, if the letter had gone to the right apartment? Ethan considers this seriously. Maybe, eventually, but I like how it actually happened. 2 people who needed healing, finding each other through honest words. Ava leans against his shoulder. I like it too. The lighthouse makes another rotation. Below them, waves roll onto the shore with patient persistence. Above them, stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. What should we name the baby? Ava asks. Something simple, something real, something that means sent to the right place. Ethan laughs. Is that a real meaning? We'll make it one. They sit together in comfortable silence, watching the water and planning a future that feels as solid as the lighthouse itself. Tomorrow will bring the usual joys and challenges. The bakery, the consulting business, family dinners, and quiet conversations. But tonight, there's just this. 2 people who found love in an unexpected letter, building a life together, one ordinary day at a time. The lighthouse beam sweeps past again, and Ava thinks about addresses. How you can spend years trying to get somewhere, only to discover that the wrong turn led you exactly where you belonged. "I love you," she tells Ethan. "I love you too." The words are simple, like the best things always are, like cinnamon rolls and lighthouse benches and letters that find their way to the right heart, even when they're sent to the wrong door. In the distance, the town settles into evening. Porch lights flicker on, families gather for dinner, and mail carriers prepare for another day of delivering messages to their intended destinations. But sometimes, Ava knows, the most beautiful stories begin with letters that go astray. Sometimes, the wrong address leads you home. The end.